welcome to the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. Today is Monday, April 13th, 2026. It is 4 p.m. and we are at the Carson City Community Center, Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. Can we get a roll call?
Andrew Reno.
Here.
Garrett Lapierre.
Here.
Matt Dodd. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, if everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we will open it up for public comment. Hearing none, we will move on to item 5 for possible action, approval of minutes from March 9th, 2026 CTA board meeting and the March 20, 2026 CTA special board meeting. Do we have any changes or additions?
No, I motion to approve the minutes for the March 9th CTA board meeting and the March 20th CTA special board meeting.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we will move on to the consent agenda consisting of item 6 and 7. Does any member of the public have anything they'd like taken off for further discussion? Does any of the board have any items they'd like taken off for further discussion? Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We will move on to, let me see here, sorry guys. Item 9 for possible action. I am going to turn this over to Chris Kipp. The purpose of this item is to review the proposed fiscal year 2027 CTA tentative budget. Chris, we will turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to try to go slower this year since there's 2 newbies. Not do it in 30 seconds. So this is our tentative budget that we've got for taxation for fiscal year 27. We have 3 funds in our budget that with the estimated expenditures of $3,431,794. So I'm going to whip through the pages, but if you guys have questions, you can ask me as we're whipping through or at the end. If you start with page 4 of the whole document, which is page 3, Schedule S2. This one is just asking how many full-time equivalent employees we have by function. We have 2 functions, the general government, which consists of David, Chris, and Casey, and the culture and rec, which consists of Eric, Stu, Lydia, and Zach. So, and then the population, those numbers are given to us by taxation. So that's it for that page. The next page, which is page 5 of 15. This page is the fiscal year 27 projected revenue. I'm going to go into details further on pages 6, 9, and 10. So we can come back to this one if you still have questions after that. The next page is page 6 of 15. This is the projected expenses for all 3 of the funds. And we're going to do the same thing. I'll go through the detail on 7, 9, and 10. So page 7 of 15, this is the fiscal year 27 general fund. So this is our main fund. The first column, number 1, is our fiscal year 25 actuals that we ended up after the end of the financial statements. The column number 2 is fiscal 26, what we're estimating we're going to finish. And the column 3 is what we're working on today for fiscal year 27, the tentative. So, let's see here. The room taxes, the intergovernmental revenue, that consists of grants that Lydia has requested. And then the $75,000 in miscellaneous, that is arts and culture donations that Eric plans on going after this year. And then the I added some more to investment income because usually I budget a little 11,000, and like last year, or fiscal 25 ended up with 136,000 in interest. But since we don't control the money, I get nervous about putting big numbers in there. So I just kind of bumped it up a little, not a lot, because we never know. Then the transfer in, that we will go over that a little bit more, but that's transfers in from the V&T capital project. The beginning fund balance is estimated end of fiscal 26 at $3,522,973. Do you guys have any questions on that section? Nope. Okay. Next page, 8 of 15. This is our fiscal 27 general fund expenditures, and they're broken out by the two functions of general government and culture and rec. So same thing with the fiscal year 25 actual, current, and tentative columns. And then it's broken out by general government, salaries and wages, benefits, and then all the services and supplies for each of those. And then we have our intergovernmental expenses, which would be like our interlocal agreement with the city, state taxation payments, things like that. And any questions on that page? All right. So then page 9 of 15 is basically the totals from the previous page, just the subtotals, and then showing that our ending fund balance for fiscal 28, we're estimating to be $3,363,724. Next page, page 10 of 15. This is just the V&T Capital Projects Fund. The revenue with the V&T Capital, we have $608,000 coming in from room tax, $366 from interest income, which that could be bigger as we talked about earlier, and then a beginning fund balance of $91,912, which we're estimated to carry over from 26. And then expenditures, the only expenditure we have is the transfer of $608,115 out of this fund back into our general fund, which we use for marketing. Any questions on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
And it goes for the first page too on interest income, but in terms of your methodology for increase, I understand that you can't really predict, but was there a certain percentage or something like that you applied to?
Basically, at the time when we were doing the budget, I just took what was there, and I kind of just took like 50, I just doubled it.
Okay.
But then when you feed it into the document, because it calculates percentage base of each account balance, so that's why some of them look a little higher than others, because some of them have more money in the funds than the others, so that's how that one.
Okay, yeah, no, it's great when it comes in more than you like, but I
Right.
just was wondering what the methodology
No,
was.
that's
Yeah,
great.
Great.
All right.
Chris, real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the V&T funding's a pass-through. So it's gonna come in, and that basically is our marketing budget, is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's not all of our marketing budget, but yeah, so, what it has to do is it has to be in it, it's adherent value to the V&T as well. So when we're marketing, we keep that in mind, that, we're drawing people to Carson City to get on that train. So, is that it for that page? Sorry. Okay, and then page 11 of 15, this one is the Capital Projects Fund. Same type of thing. We have the room tax and the interest coming in, but the difference is on this one, this $384,200 that's going out, that's the bond payment. It was 2 years ago, we renewed that bond, and that's doing the capital project in the Centennial Fields. So that's the bond payment for that. And then the next page, page 12, this is just the sheet that transfers the V&T capital projects money into the general fund money. So that's just a transfer schedule. Next, page 13, lobbying expense estimate. We don't plan on doing any lobbying, so that's a 0. And then page 14 of 15, this is a schedule of existing contracts. So these are contracts that we have in place that will have some expenditures in fiscal 27. This is just the ones that carry over into 27. This is not a full list of any contracts we will have in 27. These are just ones that are going to carry over. Any questions on that page?
Question. On number 2, K Denio Consults, that contract ends in 26, which would only be a couple months of our fiscal year.
Correct.
So do we expect to renew that for another year?
No. So it ends on October 8th. So that is just the payment for July 1st through October 8th.
Okay, thank you.
And then the last page, page 15 of 15, this is privatization contracts, and we have none. So do you guys want to go back to any of the pages? Are you good? Cool.
I have one question.
Okay.
Page 9 of 15.
9 of 15. Okay.
Hey, if we go to the ending fund balance, it equates out to about 180,000 short from what we're estimating to end fiscal year 25-26. Is that just being conservative in our estimations?
Are you looking at the ending fund balance?
Yep.
So the ending fund balance is 91,687 for 25. And then we have 91,912 for 26 and 92,278. Basically, that's interest that it's earning each year on the the money that's just sitting in the account.
What I'm talking about, page 9 of 15,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at schedule page 9. Okay.
ending fund balance of 3,363,724 is roughly 180 short from what it was in the previous fiscal year. Is that just based on our estimate? Just based on our estimating the
Estimates,
numbers?
yeah,
out?
with the whatever expenses we budgeted in and what the revenue's been projected at.
Thank you.
And we actually have less expenses because we had the big 3D grant, and most of that money is being spent this fiscal year. We'll have some trailed over in the next fiscal year, but not nearly as much. So we have a lot less expenses there. All right, cool.
I make a motion to approve the 2027 CTA tentative budget.
A second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will move on. Well, motion passes. Hearing none, we will move on to item 10, monthly non-action items and presentations and discussion only. With that, I will turn it over to our Executive Director, Mr. David Peterson.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Dave Peterson, Executive Director of Physical City. I do just want to thank Chris because she does an amazing job on putting this budget together every year, and also thank the 3 program managers in front of you as well who put together some very nice, comprehensive programming for fiscal 27. So we do sit down, Chris and I sit down with the chair. We spend about 4 hours going through all the line item level detail, which we save you from here on a Monday night. But I like where the team is going moving forward because I feel like we're still pushing, trying new things, new events, new marketing efforts, obviously some new cool stuff hopefully on the arts and culture side of things. But I just wanted to say it's a very nice team effort all around, and thank you to Chris for putting all of this together because it does take a lot of effort and a lot of work for sure. So hats off to the whole group, the whole team on that end of things. So thank you, Chair, for letting me make a comment there. 10A is my Executive Director update. I do have a handful of things this month to talk about. The first thing you're probably all wondering as we look at the empty chair all the way down at the end, the initial recruitment for the second hotel motel lodging partner resulted in no applicants. So the city has basically left the application period open until such time as somebody applies, and then we'll move forward at that point through the Board of Supervisors process. So I just wanted to let you know where we're at with everything. So we'll be a board of 4 for a little while longer. So second thing, rural marketing grant request. Lydia does a superb job. We have 4, this is Travel Nevada, Division of Tourism's rural marketing grant program. We've got 4 initiatives that are going to drive our destination marketing overnight visitation and enhanced trip planning for potential travelers. We've got participation in the Datafy Co-op. Option 2 won't make a lot of sense, but basically it's the second, I think, of 3 options. It includes the advanced visitor analytics, a targeted digital advertising campaign designed to reach high-intent travelers. The project overall also has a piece with a presenting tier for Expedia. That's another co-op with Travel Nevada. That'll promote specifically Carson City lodging. And then we also, I'm excited about this. We talked a little bit about the Mindtrip AI. I think last month, or it wasn't last month, it was the month before. So we did go ahead and put a part of this request in for the Mindtrip AI trip planning platform for the .com website. And that'll also, I don't want to say, it doesn't supplement, it just kind of adds to our itinerary development and visitor conversion. So in terms of the way that grant breaks down, the Datafy Co-op platform, 24/5, so we're seeking $12,500 because it's a 50-50 grant program. On the Datafy advertising buy, that's basically within $1, it's a $50K buy, and we're seeking $25,000 on that end of things. And then Expedia is a $15,000 co-op, so that'd be a $7,500 request. And then Mindtrip, they're giving us a deal to try this out for the first year for $16,000, and so that'll be an $8K request as far as the grant is concerned. It is going to cost us more moving forward, but I appreciate the fact that they're taking almost a third off, I think, ish. I'm looking at Lydia, but roughly a third off, because I think it's a couple thousand a month. But I'm excited to see what this will look like, and the fact that we'll be able to actually control where the information is coming from for the AI piece to our website and our content, right? So I feel comfortable with this. So our total grant ask is $52,749 for fiscal 27. So I'll have a TAC. Sorry, 52,749. Yeah, 52749. So we'll know. I'm not sure about the timing because I don't know when the Commission on Tourism will meet in June, but we'll know, obviously, before the end of the fiscal year. Whether or not I'll know at the June meeting for us, I don't know. But I feel pretty good because Lydia did a really good job of putting the grant request together. It's very detailed, so typically one of the best put together grants out there. So, but we are competing, $1.5 million, and there's $2.7 million worth of requests. So yeah, a little short in terms of the requests. So that's a grant end of things. And then I want to talk a little bit about film. So as you know, we've had some great films come in here recently through Lydia's involvement last year and her Cordillera International Film Festival board role. Carson City is really helping to kind of stay involved in the region's larger film strategy, including attracting productions, building industry relationships, and creating future film tourism-related opportunities, which is what we're all about, tourism. And Lydia's been super active on the Reno-Tahoe territory front. So Reno-Tahoe territory, we're a part of that, 6 DMOs, including the lake, north-south shore on the Nevada side, Carson Valley area, Virginia City, and of course, Reno Sparks. And so the idea here has been to take advantage of these film opportunities for the whole region, as in Reno-Tahoe territory. So through those partnerships, the territory also has a unique way to provide an official Northern Nevada representation at the Cannes International Film Festival. And that's next month. And that is huge, I'll just say out loud, because that gives this whole area valuable industry connections that basically either we cannot get access to, or they'd be cost prohibitive for us to even get in the door. So because of that value of the opportunity, the territory decided to include Lydia's attendance in future grant requests as an annual effort, basically, on behalf of the whole territory. So we're not paying for said attendance, but of course we're going to support the work by allowing Lydia to be there to represent this whole area next month. So that's May 10 to 18. So we went through a couple of meetings. They were interesting, a little back and forth, about the important role that tourism, or that film plays as it relates to tourism. We have all the ducks in a row, and obviously Andrew's on our board as well, and Chris and Lydia. So I feel really good, about where we're going, because I think we collectively can do better than if it's just Lydia trying to do something on behalf of Carson City and the movie, Casa Grande, thank you. You know, it wasn't just filmed here in Carson City, and Lydia jumped in, and we wound up down in Carson Valley, and these things are happening all over the place, and it's really good for this area. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything, but you're welcome to jump in. But I am very excited about what we're doing with film.
Sure. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any. It's just a really unique opportunity because I'm on the Cordillera board. They're actually sponsoring basically my festival pass and the accreditation that comes with it. And then RTT is helping with the travel expenses that go along with it. So it was a unique opportunity that came up last year that I never thought was ever going to happen again. But because the film bill did not pass and the budget is not there for the film office to attend, we have no one from Nevada at all that with official representation as a destination. And so I'll be able to go to the Film USA Pavilion, and that's where people that have productions are looking to actually find places to film. And then there's their American Pavilion, which was actually sponsored by Visit California last year. So there's just a really large tourism aspect and a lot of networking opportunities. So I'll be there for about a week. Just trying to network as much as I can under Emily's guidance. And so from Cordillera, and hopefully we'll have some fruitful efforts.
Real quick, after watching you and Emily do your presentation last week, is there any way we could get you two to do a presentation for the board so everyone kind of understands the whole realm of everything? Because I mean, I learned a lot just sitting there and.
Absolutely. I think Emily would be happy to do that. She was happy to take support. I'm always just wildly impressed with what she does with how little she is actually funded throughout the year. So she's always looking for places to just explain her cause. And I think this would be a great place to do that.
Okay.
Especially since they're kindly letting me go and have a week out of the office to be able to do that.
Well, just after seeing everything with the film tourism and how big that's become, what's it called?
Set jetting.
Set jetting. And the numbers behind it through Expedia, I was just like, wow. So I think it'd be good to have them do a presentation in front of the whole
Would love to
board.
do that.
Because I know we've had a lot of film over the last 2 years here in Carson. So it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to have her put together some of the just more impacts of, I think even more commercials and films are coming. So fun to see. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Love it. I just have a comment. I've only watched the trailer on my little cell phone, and seeing the Carson Valley, seeing the Carson Range, seeing our area that we live in, we drive around every day, and in some degree take for granted. Seeing that on film, I cannot wait to go watch that. I believe it's May 1st. It's out in theaters. Be able to go watch that. So anything we can do, I look at film, whether it's a documentary, whether it's a real Hollywood motion picture, it's going to end up in the movie theaters. You're selling your area. You're selling your setting. You're selling the general charm and culture that you offer here, and it's a great way to sell people to come check it out. It's a no pressure sale, so I really, really like that. So love what you're doing. Keep it up. Doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Happy to do it. Very grateful.
And Andrew, I know a guy that can help us with setting the agenda. You're welcome. The last thing I was just going to mention, we have a really cool event coming. We ran out of time in terms of preparing the presentation decks last week. But we're going to have a boxing event out at the prison. I'm going to say Historic Nevada State Prison Rumble, and Stu will correct me, of course, if I'm wrong, but it's the first part of June. And so next month I'll make sure that we've got some additional information, but the setting is going to be really, really cool. So Stu, I don't know if you want to add high level, because I know we don't have all the details worked out, but anything you want to say?
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about the information, but it is Saturday, June 6th.
6th, okay.
So it does start at 12 p.m., and it goes actually till 6 o'clock at night. So this is the first time this event is going to be at a venue like the prison. So it's going to be fascinating what they do. Cisco and Mary are incredible people that are putting this whole event together. And a lot of what they do is for the Parkinson's, with kids that have Parkinson's. So And working with Lucia and Mo at the prison is really helping. They're very on board with everything. So hopefully this will be an annual event along with their other boxing matches as well.
Do the losers have to stay the night?
Yeah,
like
they
that.
do, but they stay when they turn it into the ghost store.
One more, will Garrett be guarding them in his outfit?
That's a goal. He's gonna have his real estate sign on the back.
I don't think that motion passed.
That's all I have for you on my update, so I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any others. Okay, great. If hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to 10B, transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. That's the big sheet in the packet. We've got actuals in through January. So January, we did wind up just short of 1.9%, or 1.87. February right now, I don't know what to say. Not looking good. It's better than where I thought it was going to be a week before we put the revised projection out, but we're still going to be down around 4%. No snow. It's just, this is a weird up, down. I've almost given up. I'm driving Chris crazy, honestly, with trying to revise these numbers because I seem to miss the opposite way that we land based on, the individual properties, returns, and the way things are coming in. So right now, I think that's about where we're going to be for February. Yes, we had the new property come online, but we still are offline with rooms at 2 properties. So Federal is still down rooms, and then Plaza with the renovation. And we're trying to get an idea of where Plaza, am I missing the third one?
The Holiday Inn Express has
Oh,
been going through
yes,
some
right.
renovations as well.
Yeah, so we brought a new property online and probably we're down about an equivalent number of rooms thank you, Stu, from 3 properties, right? So I've got March basically flat right now with a little bit of growth for April, May, and June. So we're pacing to be about 1.6 plus or minus % behind last fiscal year, year over year, fiscal year over fiscal year. So wish I had better news, but that's where it looks like we're looking at right now. So happy to answer any questions that you all may have. I will say this, I don't want to get ahead of Lydia's presentation. I do feel that the winter campaign at least helped to a certain extent, right? Because we're talking about everything that you can still do here, absent snow up in Tahoe, and talking with my peers, it's been a tough winter up there for them as well with the snow conditions or lack thereof. Now, of course, we have a great amount of snow that's just come in, so maybe we'll have snow May, June, July or something, but I do like what we did, and we're going to kind of double down for next fiscal year as well. We don't have any snow again, with everything that you can still do here in Carson City, because you can do a lot. Come down here, ride your mountain bike, still golf, whatever, right? I mean, there's a lot that can happen absent the snow, up in the basin. So that's where I've got us projected right now. So wish it was better news, but I think this is somewhat realistic, and obviously we'll see how the returns come in for March, when we represent in April. And as much as Chris, don't get upset with me, but if things go totally off the rails for March, I think we will take a look at revising our 27 number as well, right? Which is going to pull down when you were talking about the ending fund balance. Obviously, it's going to pull down because our 26 is going to come down, and then so will 27. But I want to see kind of where things stand before we make that adjustment, because we have to reset the whole budget because everything is tied to percentage shares and all that stuff. But I'd like to leave that open potentially if March is really screwy, relative to what we've got presented. So that's what I wanted to say on that front. Any questions on room tax? Okay, thank you. All right, with that, let's go ahead and shoot to 10D, events and sales update. Mr. Wexler, take it away, please.
For the record, Stu Wexler, Visit Carson City. I'm just going to go over some of the events that already transpired and then a couple of the shows I went to. We're going to start with the Reno area Carson City TCG Con. It was a card show that came to us last minute. Originally, it was supposed to be up in Reno. Something happened and they couldn't secure a facility up there, so they came down. They were referred to us by Andrew Reno, and so we were able to work with the
May I interrupt you for 1 second?
Eh,
I am so sorry, Chair. Just need to bounce back here real quick. I apologize. We have to table item 10C. So we're not going to cover the hotel motel, and I even had a note to myself, I'm so sorry, transient lodging report, because we're still having some challenges with properties December information. So I did not, Chris and I talked about this, we didn't want to bring something forward, knowing that it will be changing at some point here, hopefully in the next week or two. So Stu, I apologize. We're going to table 10C. We'll bring that back at the May meeting. So with that, Todd, if hopefully that's okay, we can resume 10D.
So on the trading card show, so this was last minute, and we were able to work with Parks and Rec at the MAC Center. And this was a trading card show with Pokemon, some of the other trading cards that they work with, and we did go there. This was, like, as I said, last minute, and there were actually a little bit over 1,000 tickets sold. I don't have the information as to where they were coming from. They are still in the process of looking at their survey response, so I can get that information later on. They had close to 100 vendors, and it was a very good turnout, actually. And what we're looking at is for Carson City to be the primary market going forward. So this originally was supposed to be in Reno at the convention center. We worked so well in such a short period of time that the company wants to work with us going forward. Actually, I just talked to them today. They're actually looking at an October date. Whether we can do that this year or not, we're not sure. I have to get together with Parks and Rec and just kind of look at some of the other events that we're going to be having around the same time. September, October is very busy for us. So I think that would be a lot of interest, especially getting a head start in the marketing of it now instead of, 2 months, I think, before it actually happens. So, yeah, it was pretty interesting and fascinating, and there was one old gentleman that lives locally that was actually selling a lot of sports cards. That was pretty fascinating. Some really nice cards from baseball, first editions and all that, tops with the bubble gum. So it was pretty fascinating, and I think people had a good time on that. So, and then I'm going to go to, we did our Go West pre-fam tour. So the Go West show summit is where I was going to in Las Vegas. We had a pre-fam tour that was arranged by the Reno Tahoe Territory and Reno, the RSCVA. So we started originally with 16 operators, and because of the world environment, it whittled down to about 8 operators. A lot of people were tentative in coming with the government shutdown and what was going on. A lot of people that were supposed to come from Europe decided not to come. So it was a little bit smaller, but they did get to see a more close-knit tour of Stewart Indian School and the prison itself. So I can tell you that from the international aspect, the Stewart Indian School was fascinating to them. The Native American culture, the history, it's something they never experienced. So when they see it from us, and they had a guided tour, and we had them make small baskets for them to give away. So they were extremely appreciative, very interesting, And Justin, who was the grandson of somebody that was an alumni of the school, gave the tour itself. So he did an incredible job, and everyone really was fascinated by it. So the prison was a little, should I say, spookier. Not everybody enjoyed the prison. It was a little tougher, especially we had some Latin American people tour operators that maybe not would be their venue the next time they come across, but they did enjoy seeing what it was to begin with, but the history of it itself. So, and then they headed up to Virginia City and went back to Reno, but they did appreciate the time we spent with them. So, and I did see a couple of the operators at the show had appointments with them themselves. So we did get to talk about some of the itineraries that we had. So, and then I went to Las Vegas for the Go West Summit. Very interesting. There was more international people at this summit than I've been to before. A lot of people from China that were coming, a lot of operators from Latin America. And from the international interest, when I was meeting with them, the biggest interest was really the Wild West history of our area. The V&T train, which is on one of our brochures in the front, caught their attention right away, especially the one, it has a couple cowboys riding along. They saw that and they were extremely interested in that. So, because they don't have itineraries like that over in their countries. So we talked about that. I think there's a lot of interest that we can work on. They do know it's a seasonal attraction, so they're fine with that. And then one of the other interesting points about Go West is our location to everything. When I went through them with our maps, they had no idea how close we were to everything, especially the gateway cities. When you go into San Francisco, you go into Sacramento, that they can drive up here from those areas was really huge for them. But I'll tell you, the biggest point that I think we have over some of the other areas is that Carson City has no resort fees. You go into Reno, Tahoe, Vegas, obviously. When we talked about that, it really perked up their interest, especially in this day and age when everything is so expensive. So the no resort fees, the no parking fees was really of interest to them. And we did have some seminars, and just looking at this, if you can look at that international arrivals decline, Mexico, interesting, is still up 6% as compared to Canada, which is more of the political environment of what's been going on. The U.S. is still the #1 destination for international travel, but other countries, namely Brazil and Canada and Mexico, are catching up to what the U.S. is. So if we don't change, we could see those countries surpassing the U.S. as a destination. So Andrew doesn't think so, but. So I actually had 42 appointments. We did have some no-shows. We had some late arrivals. I think with the TSA lines, people were arriving late. Fortunately for us, Reno was no problem. Even Vegas coming back, there was no issue at all. Coming into the East Coast is where the problems were. TSA lines extremely long. So we did have some operators that got there late, but I was able to meet with them. So there were a couple no-shows, but then we had some free time, so I was able to reschedule 4 appointments. Some I have worked with already and are looking to bring tour operators here to Carson. So I'll be following up with them, in the next couple weeks on that. But the buyers from Germany, Mexico, China, and Latin America are extremely interested in coming to our area. Vegas is Vegas. Everyone's going to go to Vegas. But when I showed them and told them about Carson, the smaller venues and the itineraries we have, just the history of our area, that everyone was very, very interested in that. So, and next year, the Go West will be in Galveston, Texas. So they switch every year, and I've never been to Galveston, so that should be interesting as well. But yeah, the U.S. is still the number one destination, but the other countries are catching up to what we do. So we'll see what happens with that. And then some of the April tournaments, we're looking at the Comstock, which is the Comstock Shootout, which is happening this month. We're having the Capital City Gun Club, which is happening this month, and also the Tasmanian Boxing Club, which will be happening next weekend. And the Tasmanian, that's one where we're going to have 24 bouts, 48 fighters from Northern California and Oregon coming to Carson for the event. We're also going to have the California Youth Association. They are getting towards, the last time I talked to them, they were at the 150 youth participants, and this is all California. So you have the youth participants that come up with their parents. So these are just the shooters that are participating in the event. So you also have the families that are coming up. And and then the Comstock has about 19 teams and still close to 400 players. So you're going to have a lot going on this weekend. The hotels are going to be packed within the next couple of weeks, just with all the events happening.
Stu, can I jump in for just one quick
Sure.
second? Any of you who would like to participate, as in watching, not necessarily getting in the boxing ring on the 25th of April, just let Stu know, because we'll have a table right there ringside. So you're welcome to join in and watch. So they've been they're just, Maribel and Cisco have been great to work with. And so I'm not here that weekend, but please let Stu know if you can make it over. You don't have to be there obviously for 6-8 hours, but even if you come over and catch a couple of bouts.
Yeah, and that also goes for the Prison Rumble. If anyone wants to go, I think that one will be very interesting. So just let me know. We can get tickets for that as well. And then the last one is the Caballero Balador in Carson City, Nevada. Rancho Uva Blanca Family Wines is.
Caballo Bailador.
Yeah, that's where you. So, yeah, this is going to be happening June 27th as well at Fuji Park. And I'm going to let David talk about this one only because he met with the owner last week while I was still at Vegas at the show. So he has more of the information from the meeting on that one.
I'm going to show off, Chris. That hurts my feelings. No, I have to be honest with you. I could not be more excited to work with Billy Rodriguez and the Rancho Uva Blanca Family Wines. This is going to be, I think, an amazing event. Starting out, hopefully, 40 horses. He's got 3 events in California. They just finished one up in Washington. And before I forget, since I forgot to table 10C, I want to give a really big shout out, Matt, to Irma from your team, because she's in this world. So she has the skirmish girls, right? So you've got the oh my God, the charros. You got the guys, skirmish girls on that side in terms of horse dancing. And don't ask me to get deep into the woods on the different types of dancing and everything, because I'll probably bungle something. But Irma has been wonderful. She's going to be doing the introductions with different horse groups in and around Carson City for Billy. It's really becoming a full team effort, because this guy, Eric, he's going to connect Billy that same weekend of the boxing, but He's going to connect Billy with some of the Latin American-owned businesses in Carson City that we already work with for Dia de los Muertos and the Tamale Festival, and then we're going to get him up to the Boot and the Hat Makers up in Virginia City as well from a vendor perspective, and then hopefully it's a kind of a weird, I guess, online deal for this particular world of horse dancing, and so Irma's going to help us get into Fallon, Fernley. We're going to work with some of our partners out there, as well as the Yerington Smith Valley area, to bring folks in for this event. And all I can say is it came as a result of the boxing tournament. When we actually got involved, this guy, the chair, and I were over at boxing last year, and Cisco and Maribel introduced us to Billy. He's talking horse dancing, and ironically, Matt, Irma's been on me for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years to bring a horse dancing because of the Latino culture, right? The share of population. And there's nothing like this in Northern Nevada, right? Yes, we have rodeos and things of that nature, but specific to the horse dancing and with these types of horses and the banda and the ranchera stuff. So golly, I'm genuinely excited about this. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think it's going to be fantastic. Billy's already talking about a second event in 2027. Maybe we bookend the summer and have something in the fall, right?
Well, Billy would like to do a couple events a year.
Yeah.
And Billy's going to be here next week. We're going to do our final walkthrough
Yep.
at Fuji Arena, just to go over everything with Parks and Rec, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. He's very excited to come up to Carson City to present this. And he also has some boxing events that he does along with the horse dancing, that he works with Cisco and Maribel on that as well. So it's a very exciting event. I think it should be great for Carson. And that's all I have. Any questions?
En español, ¿hay preguntas para Stu? No? Okay. Thank you, Stu. Excellent. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, I apologize. I'm not going to do that again. I swear, Chair. Really cool stuff coming. I know it's a lot on the weekends, and it's something we're trying to work with all these different sports interests to figure out how we can try and spread some things out. Unfortunately, calendars seem to get in the way, right, between this soccer and this shooting and this whatevering, right? But yeah, it's going to be busy from here on out from an events perspective in terms of what we're sponsoring or we're endorsing or whatever the case may be. But I love the fact that we're bringing new events to Carson City. So that genuinely does excite me. Not as much as Stu, of course, as the sales and events guy. But yeah, excited about this. All right. No questions? 10E, Arts and Culture Update.
Buenas tardes, por la record. Mi nombre es Eric Brooks. Show off for being here today. So we didn't have a huge event April, but we'll go over a few things that happened. But we were able to do a lot of planning, which we're really excited for moving into summer. The mentorship continues, as you can tell, along with learning more about data research. I'm learning more about fashion. So thank you, David. We'll also discuss Pete Paulus and his new exhibition inside our office, Brewery Arts Center's 50-year Golden Jubilee Gala, and the United States Conference of Mayors Public Leadership at the Arts Awards. This is every time we have a new show, I say you can't miss this one. This one is amazing, and we have another winner. Another Espanol for us all. Ojos de Dios. Pete Paulus is a retired pastry chef, so the reception he'll be cooking French eclairs for everybody. And we're going to pair them with Minden Mill whiskeys. You'll want to make sure you make that one. And we're settling on that date. We'll have that for you soon. Pete's a multidisciplinary artist living and working in Virginia City. We've worked together for the past decade in different shows. Primarily, he works in paper cutting, and he has a few of those pieces in the office, in the gallery as well. This is something new that he started about 2 years ago, I want to say. I love them. It's kind of that dream catcher idea. These Ojos de Dios are a frequent sight within the pueblos of New Mexico. They embody faith in an all-seeing providence, serving as spiritual objects that are believed to possess the ability to perceive and understand that which is hidden from ordinary sight. And once you're in that room, especially if you're there early, well, we're able to be there early in the morning before the lights are super bright, And there's the power in that room. It's a really spectacular exhibition. We're very happy that he was able to show with us, and that'll be up through the end of June. The majority of the people on the dais here were able to be at the gala this last Saturday. Big kudos to Spike and his team, Val in particularly, to be able to pull this off. It's their first gala in 50 years as well. And it's the first one that Spike has been able to put together with Val. Val knocked it out of the park. She's been doing this for a long time at a lot of different venues. Mark Este was the celebrity chef. They had multi-courses, past appetizers in the gallery space downstairs, the exhibition hall with music and an open bar. Then upstairs, the room was laid out beautifully, coursed meal out, and then lots of different custom cocktails with the partnership of Minden Mill and Temtor in Reno. Moondance Chocolates was involved, and then Bob Sumner, who was a huge surprise. I really like his music, and that was able to be brought in as a partnership with For the Love of a Song, which is a whole nother story we can get into when we're off the time clock here. And lastly, we'll talk about the United States Conference of Mayors Public Leadership in the Arts Awards. I'm trying to mix more of these bigger picture issues into what we've got going on in the region, in particular in Carson City. We've worked, the general arts world and Nevada Arts Council in particular has worked with American for the Arts for decades, a couple decades at least, through Susan and Tim way back in the day through the NAC. And this is some really fun stuff to look at seeing what is happening in the country and how we can stack up with our smaller demographic. So these people are championing the arts as an essential civic infrastructure, driving economic vitality and strengthening communities and enriching the lives of residents, which I can say we're proudly doing that same thing here. The arts contribute 1.2 trillion with a T to the U.S. economy annually and support 5.4 million jobs, more than transportation and construction combined. And we hear these numbers all the time in the arts world, and then we get to legislative or other government entities, and those numbers don't translate for some reason. If mining came in and said, we're doing these numbers, all kinds of money would be going to the mines. So 1.2 trillion from the arts. One of the winners was Governor Gretchen. She was able to restructure the plan to eliminate Michigan Arts and Culture Council entirely along the state. She was able to protect jobs and programming in all 83 activities. 3% of Michigan's GDP is tied to the arts, generating $20 billion in economic activity. And Mayor Keller, the mayor of Albuquerque, prioritized its creative economy, which now generates $1.75 billion impact and supports 17,000 jobs. He increased public arts funding from 1 to 1.5%, so a very, very small percent to begin with, and even a smaller increase. And that was able to create the City Makers program that pays local artists living wage to lead civic projects, launched the Creative Youth Corp, employed more than 100 young people in creative industries. His $50 million transformation of the historic rail yards into a cultural hub helped attract Netflix's $1 billion expansion. So from 1 to 1.5%, you get $1 billion dividend. And we have the opportunity to think bigger in what we're doing here as well. And I'm really happy to have this team and this board to have the support to look at how we can expand and keep being creative and using arts to drive our economic growth. Happy to answer any questions.
Let's chime in on two things. The tater tots with caviar were amazing on Saturday. Those were, wow. All the food was amazing, but basically it was little tater tots with little cream and some caviar, and that was to die for. Also Santa Fe, New Mexico, which is very much a arts mecca, if you will, Southwestern arts. That was just named the fastest growing real estate market in the Southwest United States. So not only does arts bring jobs and economic activity, it drives growth throughout cities as well too.
Nothing about the halibut?
The halibut was superb as well.
Okay, I do want to undersell that part of the evening. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I think we're hammered down on arts, culture, history, heritage here, and just doing the best that we can, right, to stay visible. But yeah, I hope that we can get some state level support for sure. So, and at some point, hopefully, the rules can change with regard to National Endowment for the Arts to allow us to be a grants eligible organization, because at present we're not, unfortunately, just because of how we're set up as a sub-government organization, right? So we're ineligible for anything, even through Nevada Arts Council, if part of that funding comes from NEA. So that's something we keep talking to Tony Manfredi at the Arts Council about that, because I would love to be able to put in for some grants through NAC, or I'm not sure the humanities part, that one always escapes me how that would work, but or even on the NEA end of things, because yeah, we're just kind of left out, unfortunately, right now, just as us. So anyway, thank you. Good work. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to 10F, marketing, PR. Lydia.
Lydia Beck for the record, thank you. My daughter who's 2, speaks better Spanish than I do, so I will forego that running joke. So we're just going to go over our typical monthly updates for digital and PR, and then recap our Datify winter campaign now that has wrapped. So of course we have our numbers. Let's talk about diving into those and what those mean. So March was a more mixed month than February was, but the bigger picture really remains encouraging. So we saw a little bit softer performance in some channels as winter media spend tapered off. And we started channeling some of our funds to other areas as the winter campaign started to die down, especially with the seasonal conditions that we've already talked about ad nauseum. We know that was definitely impacting some of what the winter campaign was, of course, which was heavy in snow and bundled up in cozy clothes, which was not happening a lot in March here. So overall, the website, though, continued to attract strong traffic compared to last year. And most importantly, our lodging interest remained a real bright spot. So that increased 24% month over month and 23% year over year, supported by our paid search keyword optimization. So the paid search in particular was really continuing to show its value as a lower funnel tool. So we're capturing people who are actively looking for places to stay. And then with Meta, we continue to do what it often does best for us, which is helps drive scale and visibility, while our display and our video helped keep Carson City present in the market, even as spend declined this month. For public relations, March was pretty incredible. We had some real wins within Matador, within the Travel Nevada magazine, with National Geographic, The Points Guy. Those are all really massive publications to have our names in, and really helped our PR scorecard in hitting some of our goals that we wanted for the year already. So March was a really strong example of how PR can reinforce several different Carson City storylines at one time. You can see the variety in what we've got on the docket today, but we saw visibility connected really to outdoor experiences, Western heritage, museums and history, family-friendly travel, and film as well, which is especially valuable here, though, is where Carson City appeared, but how often it appeared in different contexts. So that repetition really helps, and it tells potential visitors that Carson City isn't just nearby, it's worth stopping for. And also it's showing the value of our partnerships like we have with Travel Nevada. The fact that they're featuring us multiple times throughout that publication is showing that Carson City is growing as a real viable destination in their eyes as well. All right, so let's recap our winter campaign. So that ended at the end of February. So now we've got some data. Again, when it comes with Datify, there's a 3-week lag in getting all of the data inputted into the campaign, which is why we're presenting it now. So let's talk about the highlights. The big takeaway is that the campaign appears to have driven meaningful visitation and economic activity from a relatively efficient media investment. So the campaign did more than just generate awareness. It translated into true travel behavior, overnight stays, and measurable value for us. So that's exactly what we want to see from a seasonal destination campaign. And as Dave mentioned, I would be scared to see what our numbers might look like if we weren't targeting our shoulder season with this campaign. So overall, we know for sure that this campaign drove at least 3,850 trips to Carson City. And what Datify is incredible at doing with the cell phone data is that we know that those 3,850 trips that came to the destination were delivered our ads and came into market. So that's actually physically tracked. So this slide gives a fuller picture of the type of impact the campaign had. We're not just looking at people arriving in the destination in a broad perspective. We're also seeing signs of engagement with downtown and with lodging, which tells that deeper story about how visitors are experiencing Carson City when we do drive them here. So that matters because the more time people spend here and the more parts of the destination they get to engage with, the more meaningful the value comes. This slide's helping us understand where the winter campaign resonated most strongly. So the pattern there is pretty clear within our California drive markets. That's an extremely important part of our overnight destination when it comes to this campaign specifically, but we see this across the board when we really study our other visitor information across the year. Of course, LA continues to creep up more and more, and we are glad to see that because they generally stay longer and spend more. As the farther they go away. But Sacramento always continues to be a strong market for us as well, across the board and where they're interacting, lodging. They do tend to provide a little bit more day trips than the other ones do, but overall, strong visitation that we're seeing from this campaign. These are our traditional KPIs. So it's giving our kind of performance health check. So before we even get into the attributed visitation, it's important to know whether the campaign itself was competitive and efficient. And the takeaway here overall is yes, we overperformed on DataFi's benchmarks pretty much across the board, or were flat. And so we're really excited to see the engagement that happened with this campaign. And it's simply put, the ads were getting in front of people, they were holding attention, and people were taking actions. This slide, of course, gives us a better sense of who the campaign was reaching and how those visitors behaved once they got here. What stands out is that the audience appears well aligned in discretionary travel and overnight behavior, and their movement throughout the destinations simply suggests that they weren't arriving and just leaving. They were staying and engaging. And the incremental lift is really the most important part here. That's how we know someone saw the ad and was more likely to visit Carson City because of the advertising. And that was a 9.34 times visitation lift. So that means that someone was 9 times more likely to visit after seeing our ad than they were any other advertising. So overall, we see this as really a successful campaign. They do benchmarks. They really make this a strategy, reporting strategy that is respectable. This isn't just a lot of fluff numbers. They have a lot of modeling that they do to create a baseline of someone who would be a visitor if they were to. Let me recap here and read my notes. So I apologize. The value of this is that when someone, they provide an audience that is modeled around a control group, showing if they were going to come to Carson City or not anyway. And so they compared that group versus who would see our ads, and they are 9 times more likely to visit than someone who was not shown our ads. I hope I explained that properly. I apologize. But overall, this campaign shows that the picture is a positive one. Our digital channels continue to generate strong year-over-year interest. Our PR is placing Carson City into meaningful travel and culture conversations, and the winter campaign appears to have translated that visibility into real-world visitation and value. So we are excited to see where this goes, and hopefully with our grant funding, we can continue to do this again next year with a new campaign. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Lydia?
Real quick, what do you think's driving that Los Angeles market? It's creeping up with Sacramento, Stockton, and Modesto.
I would love to say it's all our advertising.
Yeah.
I would love to. I think it's definitely contributing to that. I think Los Angeles across the board is looking for, I think Tahoe helps. And I think our messaging around being our proximity to Tahoe is helping that a lot. Because I think a lot of LA knows that Tahoe exists. They don't know that Carson City exists in such proximity. And I think we're doing a great job of telling that story. And I know that all of our other DMOs are also seeing lift from LA too, from what we're seeing. And so I think in general, this area is driving more interest from that market. And we are capitalizing on that interest with our marketing.
Well, good job.
Thanks.
I would agree. And to dumb down what Lydia was saying so I can understand it, we're getting in front of the right people to begin with, who have that tendency and are looking for a rural destination like Carson City. So the work that they do that goes in behind the scenes to refine, the information, and it's always churning, right? So it's that data-driven, I think, effort with the campaigns. That It's all real time, right? As they're monitoring these numbers within the Datafy campaign. To a certain extent, we do that with the rest of the campaigns, but obviously when it's Datafy's platform, with Datafy's advertising, it's 100% tracked that way, right? And from a real-time perspective. So we keep learning, and I think that's the cool thing. And if we're able to do this for next year, again, we'll just start off where we're at, and then we keep refining, right, and keep moving forward. So hopefully we'll get better and the right people, and obviously it's nice to see incremental lift. Maybe next year we'll be at 10.34 or 11.34 times. I think that's a positive. I know there were a lot of hashes where we're in the benchmark, but there were a couple where you can see we are overperforming, as Lydia said on that slide. And those are the sorts of things that she and the Datafy, and I guess KPS3 too, I shouldn't discount their involvement, but it's kind of three with Lydia leading that charge. A lot of people are involved, in these efforts. So, and some of this I don't even pretend to understand what they're doing in the back end of the system, but I see it in the numbers and the results, and I'm very pleased, with us kind of dipping our toe in the water here from the Datafy side of things. So
I agree. I just think it's incredible that we can actually see someone who saw our ad and came to market. I mean, the fact that that kind
Yes.
of data even exists is mind blowing in itself. And then
yeah,
them being able to have baseline data for people who were probably coming to market anyway, and then being able to filter that out and showing
Yes.
what impact our ad actually had is really, really cool data that, yes, is a little expensive to have, but I think is actually really invaluable so that we can guide our strategic efforts in the future instead of hoping something works.
Yeah, when I was a little research kid many moons ago for the state, to do this from a study perspective after the fact, we were in the 200 something thousand dollars a year range to try and get at somebody being exposed to an ad and then having come into destination. But that was always the challenge. Were they already predispositioned to or not, right, to visit, and then you're showing them the ads. But yeah, the research side of that was a cool 200 and something thousand. Here, yes, we have our platform, but that research, that data is a part of the buy. I mean, we're putting the money
It
into
is.
the buy, it's not like there's 10,000 more on the research side of things, which is just phenomenal, right? How research has changed, in
Right.
the last 10 years or so.
To get the incremental lift data, that $50,000 buy is required, which is why we target that level and put that kind of investment in. But we are going to be doing $50,000 worth of advertising on a digital side anyway, so why not pay just a hair more and get that data to go along with it?
Yep. Yeah, so that's everything I'm doing with marketing and PR, you guys, with some assistance from Lydia, I guess, is what you're thinking. So yeah, no, good job. Thank you very, very much. 10G, future agenda items. Anything from anybody? Okay. 10H, our next meeting. So we are 1 week shifted to the 18th because we will have our budget hearing during the regular meeting. So just reminding everybody we're a week behind because we have to meet in the last 11 days of the month with the taxation rules and all that good stuff. So Monday, May 18th, 4 o'clock right here. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chair.
Thank you, David. Do we have any board comments or announcements? None. With that, we'll move on to item 12, public comment. Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys.